even though I'm tired. I couldn't sleep last night from the coffee.
No.
Because I had all this editing.
Sleep because of the steroid.
What? I didn't take a steroid yesterday.
It took like 3 days to get out of my system.
No, it is most likely. Look, it's Occam's razor. It's the most likely culprit. I had coffee at 3 o'clock.
Oh.
And it was Jason's idea. He's like, look, you need to pump it up, son. You got editing to do. Oh, we're doing a show. Hey guys, what's happening?
Hey. I love my look at you. I'm just like, really?
Well, that's kind of sums up our relationship, I think. Look, someone has an ad running already.
No, it's not. It's not an ad. It's a super chat.
No. Wolfman says, like, he pressed play to watch the video, and there was an ad, like a pre-roll ad.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of crazy.
Johnson Craft at Woodshop. Thank you for the super chat. Incentive to start the show. Sure.
Though that worked.
That works.
Here we are. All right. Should we get rolling?
I think it's a good time.
It's a good time. All right. So it's Friday Live. I'm Marc.
And I'm Nicole.
And this week we are suffering from colds.
Yeah, you hear it in my voice.
I had the worst sore throat I have had since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And that was horrible.
I got in a car accident.
Nicole got in a car accident.
I'm gonna one up him.
Yeah, it's been.
He's over here going, "Oh, I'm so sick," and I'm like, "Our car."
Well, she goes, "Here, hold my coffee." So, yeah, watch your Triscuits, baby. So we've actually got quite a few things to show off and talk about this morning.
We
missed last week just because it was we're very busy right now. I got Ashley coming to the shop next week to do some turning. So everything's on pause while that happens.
Halloween
week was kind of nuts, wasn't it?
Bananas week.
It was BANANES.
You know what I'm doing though?
What?
Just to add to my list of things to do, I'm collecting candy for troops for our treats for our troops.
Treats for our troops.
It's an organization that finds companies to send out candy.
That's great.
So our school is collecting candy, and I probably have about 80 pounds.
80 pounds. There's like several Rubbermaid totes.
I still have to go get another load.
That's a lot of dang candy.
So I probably have 100 pounds of candy.
Is that really a way to say thank you for your service, is to give our service people diabetes? Is that what we're trying to do? We want them to all be overweight?
Our friend Tyler, who was in the military.
Overweight diabetics defending our country?
A treat. There's some good treats in there.
You know what you should send them? Nature's candy. Oh, send them raisins.
No. No.
It's all right. Okay, so let's get started here. We want to thank everybody who helped us out on Patreon. That's patreon.com/woodwhisperer. We've got some questions pre-selected from Patreon. Nicole's going to grab questions from the YouTube chat room. We'll get those live. And before we get to the questions, we do have a few things to show you. So we did have Nicole had a fender bender.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit scary because she had the kids in the car coming home from school. It's one of those things where it's like, you know, the statistic about like most accidents happen within a mile or two from home. That was one of those situations. It was just a couple blocks away. And this happened. And I get that frantic call, hey, come help us, everybody's okay, but we got into an accident.
I will say, I was impressed with how, like, in shock that I was, how, like, succinct I was on that phone call.
Yeah, you're like, everybody's okay, I got into an accident, I need you here. And then I sped out of the driveway, risking another accident to get there as fast as possible. Thankfully, everybody's okay. The woman that was at fault, this was not Nicole's fault. No. It was someone who pretty much blew a stop sign.
She wasn't familiar with the area. She
no
lived
excuses.
I know.
She should be familiar with traffic signs.
Bad. She felt bad.
But yeah, so I mean, there's no winners in an accident. But anyway, everybody is okay, thankfully, except for the cars. The cars are in bad shape.
I just want to give a shout out to Chevy.
To our white minivan.
No,
that we
Chevy.
Have now? Oh, Chevy.
Because, that car.
The car did its job.
It did its job.
Airbag deployed.
You can see my.
Nicole's got some sweet bruises.
Oh, man, look at those things. I can see them in the light now.
Oh, yeah.
Woo!
She's all green and purpley. Don't show
Airbag.
that to people. They'll think the wrong thing.
Yeah, I know. Get out of here.
No, Wood Whisper, no.
Get out of here.
Sorry. It's not a funny joke.
Not a joke.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. That was inappropriate. Yeah. But yeah, so everybody's okay.
We have some active military in the chat, and they said
give us candy.
They said don't give us raisins.
Shut up, Spags. We don't want your damn raisins.
Which picture did you show? Somebody's asking which car was mine.
The one on the left.
Yeah, the one on the left
is ours. The Chevy.
So the woman blew the
SUV.
stop sign, and just came up and into me. It was weird, but
Well, it's also trying to recreate that in your mind
Yeah.
after it happens is a little bit tricky.
And it's amazing how an airbag deploying makes you feel like you were going really, really fast. Because the cop asked me how fast. I'm like, I'm in a school zone.
150? 140? I got to get home. Kids are annoying me. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, but just that whole process of trying to like think straight and answer questions and remember.
It's a scene, man.
So.
What are you going to do? All right, so let's move on to the next thing.
Let's do it.
Accidents are fun, but we have to move on.
No, they're not fun. I told Mateo, because Mateo, the kids were really upset, and they should be.
Yeah.
But Mateo's like, I'll never give you a hard time about putting my seatbelt on.
It's like, that's
again.
right, you won't. You guys got scared straight today.
Yes,
that's
we
what happened.
did. So even if you're 2 blocks from your house, put your seatbelt on, people.
Right. That's good advice, Nicole. I think someone gives you that advice quite often.
I know.
Okay.
I had my seatbelt on.
All right, here we go. Woodcraft. This was awesome. Just a thank you to the folks at the Minneapolis Woodcraft. Matt Splett posted this in the guild. And apparently, as you can see by this picture that's blocking us, they put Friday Live on. They must have run out of good woodworking shows.
Yes.
And they put Friday Live on in the store, which I find to be hilarious and fantastic.
And for some reason, this like triggered me like, oh God, what did I say in that episode?
You probably said something about frazzling your...
No, not in that one. That was Borderlands Day. I was wearing my Borderlands
but
shirt.
it's so cool that someone does that. I mean, it's a little funny because we always kind of treat this show like the redheaded stepchild. But it's awesome. I think it's great. So thank you, Minneapolis Woodcraft.
I love the show titles that are coming in.
Oh.
Don't raisin me, bro.
Keep your raisins, you
Your
jerk.
raisins.
But it's nature's candy. Okay, we also want to announce Phillip Morley's table project. This is his kitchen table. This is the last day that you can get this at the pre-order price.
Yeah.
After today, it goes up and you can bundle it, but you still can't get it this low price. We did a watch party last night. The feedback on this was fantastic. People were like, God, he's so much more talented than he looks, right? And
I love that no one is safe from your sarcasm and
there's
snark.
really,
No one.
there's no one. Maybe, no, I was going to say my mom, but
No,
not even her.
not even her.
I throw her under the bus all the time. So go over to woodwhispererguild.com, get this project, even better yet, bundle it with a couple other pre-order projects.
$39 if you bundle it with 2 other pre-orders.
We got Ashley coming out this week. She's got a spindle turning video series coming up. Top-notch stuff. Really like it. And great changes to the guild site in the last few weeks. We have a search that's been implemented. We haven't announced it yet, but it's insane. You could search, and you can search all the comments on the website, so you could find people who were asking similar questions as you.
I searched for sexy. It was.
And there's just 20 pictures of me, right? Okay, maybe not. Let's see what else we got.
Oh,
so
the sale. Speaking of the guild
Should have mentioned
projects, the sale.
20%
We're
off.
still doing the weekend sales. So last weekend, hopefully you saw the advertisements I put out for the gaming table, but that was last weekend. This weekend we're focusing on our dream team.
Guest
guild,
instructors.
Guest instructors.
Matt writes me and he goes, "So you're not on the dream team?" It's like, guess we didn't think about that, did we? So it's all the guest instructors, sans me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a guest instructor, so.
Yeah.
But I came up with the idea. I was like, this is kind of our dream team. I like these people. That's what we're going to call it.
Next year, Jory will be in there. We don't put
current year projects in the big sales, just because it's the year that it was released. So.
Yeah. Justin Ford did have a quick question about the Fremont nightstand, which is on sale right now for 20% off. He wants to know, can it be made with dowels or floating tenons?
Of course.
Excuse me. God.
Just let it rip, Nicole. Don't worry about it. We're all friends here.
I know.
She crop dusted with her mouth.
Yeah, sorry. So yes, Justin is the answer.
Yeah, you might have to get creative with some things, but anytime you have a type of joinery, very rarely would I ever say, oh, you can't substitute beadlock or dowels or dominoes or whatever it is. There's always a way to do it.
Yeah.
Will the videos guide you through that? No. Daryl's going to show his way of doing it, but you can absolutely substitute.
So real quick, writing desk, bowl turning, the high boy.
Oh, yeah.
The high boy's in there.
That one you need a discount on because that thing's expensive.
Waterfall table. There's 3 of them that Matt does because Matt likes to
overdo it.
Overdo it.
Keep busy. Avoid his family.
And then, of course, the Fremont nightstand is in there too.
You know, people are concerned that Phillip Morley is becoming my new best friend.
Oh, yeah.
And that Matt is going to get jealous. And there could be a...
I have news for both
what
of
I
them.
want to know, I want to know...
Tyler is your BFF.
Yeah, but got lots of friends. Well, Jay's my friend,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I got friends. I'm a popular guy, Nicole. I'm a fun guy to be with. Okay, so...
We pay you.
We pay Jay handsomely to be my friend. Actually, that's what happens with Phillip and Matt, too.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be my friend if I wasn't giving them a quarterly check. Okay, so let's look at some cool stuff here. This is a new notebook. Think Christmas and holidays. If you need a gift and people don't know what to buy you and you're tired of buying Duluth underwear, you could buy something like this. This is a leather-bound notebook. And you could keep your notes in there. You could write stories. You could finish recipes, measurements, right? It's a nice notebook, leather bound. This is by the Calavera Tool people. My buddy Michael makes these up. 2 notebooks in there. Now we aren't going to make you buy special notebooks. You can get these notebooks super cheap on Amazon, lined or not lined. But the idea is this becomes something where you can kind of keep your project notes together. When you fill up one of the notebooks, you could take them out. Maybe we'll build a project one day to store the notebooks. So Calavera has something like this, but this one is bigger. It's of course got the Wood Whisperer Guild logo on it. And I asked him to switch to a black instead of that gaudy orange. And I had him add a little leather keeper strip over here. So ours is, definitely better. Right, you can get these at the woodwhispererguild.com.
I put the pre-order in there.
Yeah, click on the store.
How long are we taking these pre-orders?
Probably not for much longer because we want these to be available for Christmas.
I said December 1st.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, you have until December 1st to get that pre-order in.
Yeah, so if you're interested in something like this, pre-order it. We're only going to make as many as we need. I'm not sure if we're going to carry it as a regular item. So if you are interested and you want to look fancy when you take notes in your shop.
It's a very nice quality.
Forget the spiral bound stuff. That's
And you can smell it.
It's garbage. Yeah, and it does. Oh, it does smell good. It's nice. You could sip a brandy while taking notes in the shop. All right, so that's at the Wood Whisperer Guild. And this is a project that was supposed to be released today.
Yeah.
But I just, with the cold and so much going on, I couldn't get it done. This is going to come out next week, maybe even this weekend if I can get the editing done.
Try to get it out this weekend.
You say that, and then when you're taking care of the kids by yourself, you're going to be like, Mark, I need your help, and I'm going to be like, I'm supposed to be editing.
Save me, Mark.
Save me. This is my knife display and storage case that I made. We got box joints, got that beveled action on the sides, little lock in the front to prevent the little kitties from getting to the blades.
Is the paper in those books lined?
It is.
Yeah.
The one that comes with will be lined.
Okay.
And it's a great way to store your pocket knives. And I've got a nice little collection I've amassed over the last few months because suddenly I'm interested in pocket knives. It's just a thing that I do now. People have to get used to it. But it's a great way to store them. You can fit about minimally 14, but probably on the high end, maybe 20 knives in there. This is a full project on the free site, and we'll have plans. This one is actually sponsored by Duluth Trading Company.
There's a Duluth knife in there that I bought.
Yeah, this one actually.
I'll pay for that knife.
The Maple Burl. That was a gift from Nicole. A little Sarge knife. It's a little beauty.
I think he said, Mark, it's me, Tyler.
Oh,
I think Tyler's in the...
Tyler, why aren't you working?
Yeah, don't get distracted, he said.
Okay.
All right. Yes, that's going to be on the free site, hopefully this weekend.
We'll see. I don't know, we'll see. It just depends. I got a lot of editing to do. I do have one more thing to show you over here.
Oh my goodness, to see what happens when we skip a week.
I know, and it's not all ads either, which is great. Jay, can you take that out of the way? I got a piece of wood here. Jay's going to zoom in on my wood. This is for our cool tool segment.
Oh,
Did we come up with a better name?
No.
It's such a stupid name.
It is a stupid name. Just
Got wood? Got tools?
Got tools? I don't. Who cares?
Buy this.
I like this. I like this
thing. Yeah, because these are non-sponsored things, right?
Yeah.
So when we were doing the knife case, I had a need for very small holes, right? The hardware had just little pins that needed to be nailed in, very, very tiny screws, and my set of fractional bits didn't go low enough to do what I needed it to do. So I remembered that there are these things called pin vices, and that's what this little doojobby is here. So we're going to put a link in the notes there for you and in the chat to a link on Amazon. It's about $12, and it comes with all of these bits. Look at how small they are. I don't know if you can appreciate that, but this is like dental drill size, like little teeny tiny things, stuff that you cannot you don't want to put that into a regular drill. You need to do this by hand. So the pin vise is this little device that locks on. You kind of hold it down and the handle spins, right? So you get it in position and then you could just slowly manually drill. And this is pretty perfect for these operations where you just need that little tiny pinhole as a starter hole. If you do marquetry, a lot of times you need to get a pinhole that you could feed your scroll saw blade up through. And this is one of the bigger ones. I mean, look how small that hole is. This will allow you to make a hole of the minimal size possible to feed that blade up through, and then you could start your marquetry design. And you don't have a big clunky hole there to look at. So this whole set is $12 on Amazon. That is my recommended tool this week, and I think you guys should all go out and buy it because it'll probably give you about 5 cents in affiliate fee every time you do. At $12, I don't know what Amazon pays us. But anyway, it's not about the affiliate fee. It's about you having a nice set of tools that you can utilize. This is probably essential. We grabbed some Scotch tape to hold all the bits because you're going to lose these things. So this helps us not lose them. And I keep everything. I don't know where my bag went. Oh, there it is. I have a wonderful little Thor. Is it? Yeah, that's Thor. A little Thor snack bag that we keep all this stuff in. And I highly recommend you do that because you will lose those bits. But anyway, go check it out. That's my cool tool of the week.
I'll add it to our Amazon store too. So if you're watching this, you don't have to worry about the link.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm going to drink some water and then we're going to answer questions.
Lots and lots of questions.
What?
I've been
Yeah, you can kill that one.
Please don't do that.
I'm just trying to annoy people as much as I can. All right, let's do some questions here.
Let's do some questions.
I'm going to start with my questions on
we have
Patreon.
any,
Well, that was a long intro.
It was a long intro. Do we have any Patreon thank yous?
Maybe, but I don't have time to find them.
Okay.
We'll do them next week. Okay, Paul Engel writes in. He says, I'm in the decision phase for dust collection. It's between a PM 1300T XBK dust collector. It's 1.7 horsepower, 0.75, and the Laguna, the C-Flux, or C-Flux. The Laguna is a 2-stage model. Currently plan not to run ductwork, just plugging one machine at a time. He wants some advice. All right, so I looked this up. Now, it's always tricky for me to answer very tool-specific questions because I don't necessarily, just have this stuff in my head. I have to actually look at them and see what the difference is.
Can I see those?
What?
Josh is at, no, the bits.
Oh.
He's asking if they could fit in an Altoid tin, and I think so.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
The bits, but not the little, that thing.
That might. As long as there's no bit in it,
Yeah.
it'll probably fit in an Altoid tin.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. So I looked at these two. Now the Powermatic is it's just a bag unit, right? You got your top bag, you got your lower bag, 30 micron filter bag on it. $6.99 is the price. The Laguna is $12.99. It's almost double the price, but it's a cyclone, which means you're going to get better separation. It's got a cartridge filter, it's got a bag, but it also has, because it's a cyclone, it's got the bin at the bottom. So instead of emptying a big dust magnet bag, and every time you let that thing off, you better have a dust mask on because all that dust is going airborne on that Powermatic. On the Laguna, you've got that little bin. You basically pull up the lid, pull out a rolling bin, and you dump all your dust out. You get better filtration, and then you don't have to empty out the bag that's on the other end as much. So without a doubt, just technologically speaking, the Laguna is the better device, right? But it's also almost twice the price. So this is a hard thing for me to answer because these are two very different levels of dust collector. They will both do the job, but I think if you're looking to save money, the Powermatic's probably going to be the way to go. It's going to be more than adequate connecting one tool at a time, but it's not as fun to change it out and to empty that filter bag. If you're looking for more of a long-term solution, something you're not going to want to upgrade as quickly, the Laguna is going to be the choice there. Now you might also look at, again, depending on your budget, Powermatic's version that basically is very similar to the Laguna. It's quite a bit more expensive, but it's that same sort of thing. It's a nice 2-stage system with a cyclone and a little bin that you're able to move out. So take a look at that too. But in this case, I think if we're talking purely budget conscious, I would have to say go for the Powermatic. But if you're looking for a better long-term solution, go for the Laguna and spend a little bit more money. Okay.
All right.
I do have more questions. We can go back and forth if you want to do live questions.
Well, I got a super chat here from Moose. He said, for the troops.
Moose.
Thanks, Moose. And then Craig Chagrin Harmon said, for candy and toothbrushes for the troops. No to raisins.
All right, fine. No raisins. How about protein bars? Can we do protein bars? Sometimes they have chocolate.
They're
basically candy bars.
I got some full-size candy bars in there. They're going out.
Okay.
Which is nice.
Oh, I know. Jason likes that. He's going to be upset when the candy supply runs dry. Okay, Alan Lillich says best wishes to you and get better soon.
Thank you.
Do you have any smoke detectors in the shop? The shop tour mentioned one in the lumber shed, but only mentioned security in the shop. I don't have any, having heard that false positives are a problem for fine wood dust. Well, the reason I didn't mention it is because that particular episode was sponsored by SimpliSafe, and they did send me one smoke detector, which I put in the shed because I didn't have one there. The reason I didn't mention the shop is because I have a Nest product in the shop, and I wasn't able to talk about competing companies. So in the shop is a Nest Protect. And I've got one of those on the ceiling. I love connected devices, especially ones that tell me, because here's the thing. We had a fire, a near fire, in our basement. So a device that I had in my home theater decided that it wanted to go, and it started to smolder and smoke. And smoke alarms went off. Thankfully, we were home. My thought is, what if you're not home? Right? Your house is closed up. Nobody can hear your smoke alarms in the house. So without some kind of a connected smoke alarm, if you're not home, you have no idea it's happening. So I have doubled up, not replacing. You don't want to replace, by code, your smoke detectors. They're all wired and they have to work a certain way. But I have basically duplicated our smoke alarms throughout the house using Nest products. And this way, should there be an event or anything happening, I get a message on my phone. And if I'm in the, have the ability to do something or tell a neighbor to go check it out or whatever, run in my burning house and save my knife box, please. Jim, go get my knives. The Nest Protect is a really great device for that. So that's what we have. I have yet to have a false positive from the shop. In fact, I forget that the thing is even there. So it might be device dependent, and it may also be how much dust you produce in your shop that affects whether you get false positives.
Hey, you know what? We forgot to do something big happened last week. No, and we forgot to mention it.
I had a white trash mustache
on Halloween. No,
yeah,
no. Woodworkers Fighting Cancer.
Oh
ended.
yeah. That's right. That was the drawback to not doing the show last week.
So one of the things that I did this week before the accident was I went through all of the submissions for the projects and calculated all of the money. So if you're wondering,
our total,
we had 202 builds and 21 build videos.
That's kind of huge.
That's awesome.
When did we have? We haven't had numbers.
I don't think
participation numbers that big.
If you go to woodworkersfightingcancer.com and scroll down all the way to the bottom, I put all of the images, and it scrolls for a while.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I actually haven't really. We did that whole thing, and I haven't sat down to really digest.
You're like, here, Nicole.
Yeah, Nicole, this is your thing now.
I did the build.
Right, I'm done. Jay and I did our job. Now it's your turn. But seriously, thank you. That's a huge participation level. That's also a huge check that we have to write now.
I've already done it.
Okay, it's done.
We are.
That's good.
Our first goal was 10,000.
Yeah.
We blew through that with the auctions. So I set the next goal to 15. We're at $16,128.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that amazing?
That's so great.
So we donated, and I still have to calculate merchandise, so like the coffee mugs and the shirts. So I have another donation to put in.
Yeah,
so that
a little
number,
smaller, but
and then we had a number of just guild members match our donation, or they didn't match it. They did like $2 per project. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
But if you
it really means a lot to us.
It's huge. So if you go to woodworkersfightingcancer.com, you can still donate directly to the charity and increase that amount if you'd like. I know some people built the project and then auctioned it off. There was one gentleman, he auctioned his off and made $870
That's great.
from it. Well, it was a raffle he did.
Okay.
So
how much did we get for mine?
Was it? I thought it was. What was it for?
Yeah, he did better than me. Good job, man. That's awesome.
So yeah, that's.
Cool.
I think I just wanted to say thank you.
Kudos. Nice job, team.
Yes.
And kudos to you. and Jay, and you guys.
Jay did all the packing.
Our little community. Look at what we can do.
And all of our sponsors.
When we put our heads together.
Forest, Powermatic, Fuji Spray, Eagle America, Type Bond, Rockler, Hedgehog, Woodpeckers, Ox, Brusso, us, and Roper Wood Turning.
Yeah. That's
all
awesome.
Participated.
That's
it was
so good.
awesome. So
we got to do a victory dance.
I'm done.
Okay, good. All right, so there was a question that came up. Oh, shoot.
Sorry.
There it is. Brian Jones asked, when you were using the Bosch router, what made you go back to the OF 1400? Really, the edge guide. Accuracy with the edge guide. It was driving me nuts. Bosch, as far as edge guides go from companies that make routers, they have probably the best one, but it's still, compared to the Festool edge guide, it's still garbage. That's not to say that it can't be useful and that you can't use it. It will work, but it's jumpy and it's clunky and it was just a pain in the butt. So a lot of times I will do these things, like we just switched back to a Capex. I will change around tools and switch things up.
Change your mind? What?
I change my mind all the time.
What?
Because I'm in a very fortunate position that I could blow some cash on things like this to have the experience to then be able to answer questions on Friday Live every week from experience, not just me speculating, right? So when someone asks me, hey, do I need to get a Capex to do good woodworking? I can be like, absolutely not. You know, I had that DeWalt non-sliding miter saw for how many months? You know, it was like the last year, basically.
You change miter saws like you change underwear.
Right, like every 6 months. So, so yeah, it's one of those things that I'm able to do, and it makes me seem flighty and maybe non-committal with my tool decisions. But
Chris
Chris
Calnassi, Honda money.
Honda money, man.
It's like 4 years ago.
That Honda money ran
Somebody
out
says
like
that
the month after.
Our white levels are blown out. It looks pretty good to
Listen,
me.
your butt's blown out. I don't want feedback on my white levels. I usually base it, I actually have to, I mean, if you're looking at this, yes. But I do that because I want us to look good. I don't care about the cups.
Which somebody noticed, they're like, oh, Duncan has their holiday cups out.
But we can knock it down, but then everything else gets a little too dark. Just let's not talk about that. This is technical issues.
I know.
Nobody cares. And we look better when we're brighter.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Well, I purposely don't wear white.
Well, or short sleeves.
Or short sleeves.
Because you could do white balance adjustments off of her arms, which is great. Okie dokie. So Chris Calnassi, he's our good buddy. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Glad the scare this week was minor and everyone's okay. So we're trying to continue learning at all times. He says, everything on the internet, mainly YouTube, is just regurgitated since you made the world's first cutting board, that's true, all those years ago in episode 7. Do you find books to be the best source then for learning and getting inspiration? Or try and get out of the YouTube circle and zone in on one style that someone may want to learn and go to from there? I tend to learn techniques well from you and then just look up photos for certain styles and apply theory from there. Yeah, I think you're on the right track. I think, when we look at the history online, if you're specifically looking at YouTube, you're not going to get anything pre-2006 because it didn't exist pre-2006. So you might find someone who uploads an old video, like an old VHS or something like that.
New Yankee Workshop.
Yeah, you can find classic things that have been uploaded to that platform. That can be very helpful. And there's nothing wrong with watching the new stuff. I made a career on giving old information to a new platform, right? That's how I did what I did. So it's nothing new and it's nothing bad, but it is, I think, important to know where, what is the history of this stuff? We had something in the guild the other day where someone posted a jig and someone's like, oh, that looks like so-and-so's jig. And then a person's like, no, it's this other jig. And this other jig was made in 2006. And I bet you that guy got his idea from a magazine article he read from, 1996, right? Yeah. So none of this stuff is really super new, but I do think it's important to have some awareness that there may be creators and people who have taught this stuff well before these folks came around on YouTube and these other platforms.
Mentors.
Books are a great way to do that. Talking with other woodworkers, older woodworkers, is another great way to do that. Local woodworkers, if you have woodworking clubs.
Associations.
Yeah. And I think you're doing it right. Get what you need out of the resources that are there, exploit them as much as possible, and then do a little bit of a deeper dive to find the stuff you want more deep information on. But never make the mistake of thinking that if it's not on YouTube, it doesn't exist.
Right. Speaking of bookshelves, somebody in the guild had asked about, collection of books. And I don't know if you know this, but I took a picture of your bookshelf and I put it up on our U.S. Amazon store. So if you go to amazon.com/shop/the Wood Whisperer, there's a view of Marc's bookshelf, and you can actually see some of the hyperlinks. They maxed it out, I think, at like 10.
Yeah, we couldn't get more than 10.
I couldn't tag all of them.
And I have more books than that, too.
I know. I have another picture of it. So
okay. I like this. Gary Hagen says, unless you're Izzy Swan. I assume he's talking about like not making new things.
Oh, yeah.
So Izzy Swan certainly is making things that you've never seen before.
Right.
Okay.
The walking dinosaur was pretty cool.
He's got that like centipede thing I've been seeing on his Instagram page lately. Let's see. Next one here we got from Corey. He says, 2 short questions. Are you doing a video on the Festool MFT cart? Yes. Any idea when it's coming out? No. Soon. This is a weird thing for me, guys, to have content piled up that I've got our editor Todd is doing all the work for 2 guild series right now. So I have to tell him to stop doing that to work on free site stuff. And it's weird. I've never been in this position to have backlogged content. We've got a lumber rack that we need to put out. We've got the MFT cart to put out. Now the knife case, which was pushed to the front of the line. It's a weird thing, but we're trying our best to get the stuff out as soon as possible. Second question, when trying to get long 72-inch plus boards for tabletops, I'm finding that I need to buy, he says, 2/4 larger than I need because of twists and cups. Do I need to find another supplier, or is this normal? I got an itchy nipple, Nicole.
Thanks for telling me. I appreciate it.
So he says, example, I'm buying 6/4 to get 4/4 milled tabletop. Okay, well, the thing is, if you get your stock really rough, a lot of times you could just get the 4/4 rough, mill it down, and you'll be fine. If your stuff is like S3S, now you're pretty close to your final dimension. If you're going for a 72-inch long board, that's asking a lot of that material to stay flat. So I don't know that it's a supplier issue. I think a lot of it might just be the nature of the beast. I know when we're building a big tabletop, if I want a finished, pretty close to a full 3/4, maybe even a little bit thicker if I can get it, I'm not buying 4/4 for that. If it's a big dining room table, I'm gonna buy 5/4 or 6/4 even, just to make sure that I'm gonna have the finished thickness I want and nice straight flat boards. And to me, it's just the nature of the beast. Other people may have suppliers that maybe their material is just that much better, but Austin Hardwoods is pretty damn good. And sometimes I have no choice. I just have to buy thicker material because I know over that long length, it's just gonna, it's not gonna be dead flat. And that's the thing, wood moves. Even if it was flat when it was milled, it's not gonna stay that way, right? So your experience is similar to mine. David Wiggins, he says, I have to do a lot of sanding on the sides of small boxes in order to keep the sides flat and square. Is there a technique you recommend with either the 150 or 90 Festool sanders? Would you recommend an investment into a horizontal or disc sander? Sides range from 1.5 to 3. Yeah, without a doubt. You don't have to do this, but if you are looking for that absolute consistency, a disc sander or belt sander that is, always positioned 90 degrees is a great way to maintain squareness, but get that thing sanded. And if you're doing, I know we talked about like eyeglass cases, if you're doing a lot of these, you're not gonna wanna do that with a random orbit sander. You're gonna wanna have a machine that you can just go to and go beep, 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 and it's done. And it's still square and nice and flat. So if it's in the budget and you want that new tool and you're doing a lot of these, it's probably worth investing in. I would say go for the stationary sander.
Jeannie Grassi is in the chat, and she said thank you for the watch party last night.
Oh, cool.
But
That was fun.
She has a question. Would the Morley table be a good candidate for extension leaves? Determined to find one. I bet
Nope.
you. No?
No, I mean, maybe.
I look at that and
Yeah, but you have to look at the shape of the top. Anytime you have a non-square top, it complicates an extension. Right? Because if you have shapes,
it needs to be.
So one way that it can be done is by adding a leaf in the middle. So that can happen with tables like that. So the middle piece has straight ends.
Right.
You drop that in, and then, so now when the leaf is in there, which presumably it's not always in there, right? So you would have the curve, then it would flatten out, then it would curve again. So there is a possibility if you want to design a top that splits that way.
Where a leaf usually goes, in the middle. I guess you're thinking on the ends flipped up.
Yeah, well, either that or like, remember we had that old table where it slid from underneath and came up to the outside. So yeah, you can, but again, when it comes to these extensions, you got to look at the hardware, how the hardware interacts with the base. I haven't really done many extensions. I mean, obviously by the way I'm talking about it, you can tell I don't do them that often.
I think we need to get a project. Hey Phillip, you want to make a add on to the video?
Top. But the hardware is a big deal. That's the big challenge is how do you get the function of the extension to work properly.
As a kid growing up, we had that table. Remember that table that had an extension in it? And it was just such a pain in the butt to do it that we just left it in all year round.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I said no, but I take it back. I guess if that's the case and you're pulling it out and you want to put an extension or two in the middle and you don't mind it flattening out in the center, that could be a candidate.
I would think so.
Okay. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks for setting me straight.
I got you, Jeannie.
Okay. Jason Stromberg asked the question about, he's doing laser cutting on Baltic birch. He's asking about finishes and how pre-finishing impacts. That everything you asked me in that question makes me want to test things. I can't tell you at all what would work better. In your case, I just want to give him a quick answer. But you would have to test these things out. How do multiple coats of finish affect the process? How much sanding to do before or after? I don't know. That's just things you're going to have to experiment with and see what works best for your process. Okay, one last question. So Scott M says, I'm just going to sum this up. He wants to build this dealy whacker, one of these things from Eagle America. Oh, wait a minute. There it is. Oh, hold on. It's got the wrong, it's using the laptop camera, whatever. It's a candy bowl, candy dish thing. Those Eagle America
That's from
ones.
Eagle America.
Yeah. So he's asking about this multi-wood
doing something.
situation, right? He wants to know, can he dye it? Should he use something like Paduke?
And you should dye it.
And you should dye it. I don't think dyeing is the right answer here. Because if you he's talking about possibly dyeing it ahead of time and then routing down to that level. I don't think that's going to work. I think you're going to burn through it. The dye doesn't penetrate that deep. Probably not a great idea. I would use a red colored wood. If you use something like Paduke or bloodwood, you will have to worry about bleeding, right? So the oily dust from the red wood, as soon as you get finish on it, kind of travels and soaks into the bright colored maple. So you will have to be very careful about how you finish those to prevent that bleeding. So what you might want to do is maybe settle for something that's in that red family but doesn't necessarily bleed over. You may look at something like mahogany, different types of mahogany or sapele. You could look at babinga. That's going to be a dark red species that is not necessarily going to bleed over. That is the route I would go for something like that. And you could use something brightly colored like Paduke that's going to darken over time though. It won't stay. It'll probably look like that picture over time, a very dark red color. But you will have to be very careful about how you finish it. A lot of times a quick, like very, very light misting coat of shellac or something, something you could apply via aerosol or HVLP. So you can kind of seal that color in and protect it and stop it from, you just don't want anything to really soak into the fibers. If it soaks in, it bleeds over, right? So either shellac, lacquer, don't know, I'd go water-based. I mean, you might have to experiment, but very light dusting coats, 5 or 6 of those to seal it, and then you could start to layer on thicker coats of finish. So yeah, that goes for Paduke, bloodwood, but really with babinga shouldn't be too much of a problem. Trying to think what else might have that, and your mahoganies. And just get close enough to red. Okay, I'm done with Patreon questions.
I have some more.
Nikki P.
Vincent in the chat room was asking me about the watch party. I'm leaving the watch party up until we take it out of pre-order, so people can get a taste of it. But those are not meant to be permanent.
No, in fact, I usually delete them
immediately
after.
I know, but I think it's good.
But Nicole yelled at me last week.
I think it's good for people because it helps people decide whether or not they want to participate in that project. So Vincent and the rest of the chat room, I'm going to put the link in the chat so you can preview it, but it will be gone by the end of tonight. I do have a question from Anthony. I've never used hard wax oil, and I'm about to finish 2 Hank chairs.
Oh, cool.
I know that you've used Osmo Rubio, but I saw Jory use Festool Surfix.
Yeah.
What's that? What's your thoughts on the application feel look?
It's Surfix is a very similar product to in terms of like how it applies, what it's going to look like when it's done, how much protection you get out of it, very similar. And in fact, just talking with Jory, I don't know that he's using the Festool product anymore. I know he had a lot of it, so maybe he's still using it to get rid of it, but he's been experimenting with things like Rubio and Osmo as well. They're all comparable though. I mean, each one has its own little nuance. Some of it's no VOC, some of it is low VOC, some of, they're all kind of designed for any, the stuff that's in it, the chemicals that are in it tend to be a little bit more environmentally friendly than just your armor seals and your Minwax materials like that. So, but they all kind of exhibit the same properties. They provide a very close to the wood sort of finish, not a huge amount of protection, but a beautiful silky smooth finish that if it's well cared for, it should do pretty well. So, what was his question specifically though? He wanted to know what the Festool product is?
He just said,
or how does it compare?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the application feel, look, etc.? Probably in comparison to Osmo.
All very similar. The one thing I will say is Osmo, out of all the products, tends to be more like a film than the other products. I put some of that on my workbench and it laid down like a film. You don't have to wipe it all off. You can actually let it dry on the surface. And things like Surfix and Rubio, you really have to wipe off all of the excess. But the Osmo products, you don't necessarily need to do that. It will dry on the surface. So there's little nuanced differences. And if you're looking for a little bit more of that finished look, you want it to look like it has finish on it, you might find those more in the Osmo line of products than you would find it in, let's say, Rubio.
All right, we got a question here from Brian Tharp. Does your Forrest Dado blades leave grooves on each side?
Yep.
Looking for a good Dado blade at a decent price.
The Forrest one does. I would look at the Datonator.
I like the name of that.
I think it's Infinity Tools, I think, sells those. I have a Datonator Junior, and I find that doesn't leave as severe of a groove as... oh,
jeez.
Hello, clock. Does that usually do that at this time of day?
Yes, it does. It scared me.
It doesn't leave as... the alternating bevel on the outside blades doesn't leave as deep of a groove. But the Datonator Junior is really nice. You got to be careful though. It's not, the Junior is smaller, so you can't get as deep of a depth if you use like a sled or something at the table saw that eats up a little bit of that height. You may have limitations in how high you can go with that, but they do have a full-size Datonator. But I enjoy the Datonator Junior. Freud has a really reasonably priced Dado blade. I think it's like $99. That one is a pretty good one too.
What's just Freud Dado?
Yeah, they have a couple different ones.
Okay.
I think it's like a black coated one. I had it years ago. So Freud Dado stack.
Is that fraud?
That would be fraud.
Freud. O-U-D. How you spell Freud?
F-R-E-U-D.
Oh, yeah. Dado.
I like that, Nicole.
I don't know.
I want that fraud one.
So is it the red one?
Yeah, they got a couple different ones there.
Oh, the black one. There's the black one.
Yeah, 8-inch Dado set. That one's discontinued.
Oh, discontinued. So it's $77.
I haven't used it or bought it in a while, so maybe they don't make the black one anymore.
Well, they make the black one. It's right here.
No, the blades are black. Is the one I'm talking about. Maybe they don't make it anymore. Either way, I still think that the Freud is probably a pretty good bang for the buck.
There's a bunch of them. It's very confusing.
Well, it's Amazon, and half of those are sponsored.
I don't know.
So
which one should I put in the Amazon store? The red one?
I don't know. Yeah.
The 6-inch one?
No. The 8-inch.
That's $169.
I can't make this decision without actually researching it. Okay. So,
but it should be 8-inch, right?
If they want the 8-inch version, yes.
Okay. I'm just gonna.
You got all the choices on that one. Just put that link in there.
I'm just gonna put this link in the Friday.
Not to be done live in front of people.
I know. But see, here's the problem. If I don't do it now, I'll forget to do it later. So.
Yeah. All right.
It's a impromptu thing. Do you see a question?
Brandon Olson. Marc, is there one design or project that's on your dream list to build that you haven't done yet? No.
He's just like, leave me be.
I mean, the Maloof rocker was a big one. The Blacker House chair was a big one. A lot of the green and green stuff.
You want to make that high boy, don't you?
Absolutely not. No.
He doesn't like any period furniture.
I honestly, when I started out, just thinking in terms of like what projects I want to build and things like that, I guess I didn't anticipate making this a career. So a lot of the things I wanted to do, I was able to do. And then now it's so focused on like, not just building furniture, but building our business. And, that's part of my creative process. So a lot of my goals have kind of morphed into these quasi woodworking / content goals. And I don't really have those bucket list projects anymore, but I do have techniques and things that I just want to get better at and do more of. But I don't really have
you done
a
steam
bucket
bending?
list. No.
No. Do you want to do steam bending?
No. It sounds hot. Sounds like I might burn my fingers.
I will say this. CNC recently has piqued your interest.
Listen, lady. No. It hasn't.
You've talked about it
All right, it has.
a little kinder than normal.
Whoa. When have I ever spoken unkindly about CNC?
No, I should say more welcoming.
More interest.
Yes, yeah.
Because I've never been a downer on CNC.
No.
I love it. I just don't have a need for it.
Okay.
No. CNC is fine. The thing is, I just don't have the time to dedicate to learning about it, getting good at it, mastering a new device, and then going down that path. But the one thing that has captured my interest is the shaper origin. I do have some interest in that because it's a little bit more my speed. It's take the tool to the wood, not put a giant thing in the shop that I don't have room for. That is a little bit more appealing to me.
Didn't Phillip have one of those?
Yeah, he did. But
You just want to be like Phillip.
I do. I really do. I'm working on the accent too. Part of the challenge is CNC is a whole new discipline. And a lot of the things that I do, that I work very hard to get good at, or that I make, that I find fun to make jigs and devices for, CNC just goes, done, right? It's part of the process, that level of accuracy that you can get with CNC. And part of I guess it's a little bit of a phobia, is that you get too deep into CNC and I'm getting myself further away from the things that I love about woodworking. I don't woodwork and build furniture because I want to build furniture as fast as I possibly can or as accurately as is technologically possible. I want to better my skills and I want to use certain tools to get there. And again, this is a very personal decision. For someone else, incorporating the CNC might be a way, like a Daryl Peart, right? That's a way for this guy to knock out furniture designs. His big thing is his designs. So how fast can he make it but maintain his quality? That's where a CNC is going to help him. That's not the kind of woodworker I am. I'm purposely doing things the hard way at times. And you got people like Shannon, who's doing things even harder because he wants to use all hand tools for the love of the type of craft he wants to practice. So that's why for me, it's like the CNC thing feels like, to a degree, is going to take me further away from what I love about being in this space. So if I had a CNC, like someone mentioned, like, okay, making templates, right? If you think about it, if you can make a template with the CNC, why make the template? Why not just make the part? So you're not making a template anymore. Now you're actually making the whole leg, right? So it's one of those things I have trouble wrapping my brain around how me as a woodworker, the kind of person and woodworker I want to be, how I could justify having the CNC and not going all out in using it to make furniture. And people worry about a domino in my shop and outpacing my audience. It's like, here, watch me make this CNC project. I don't think my audience really wants to see that.
I don't know.
There's going to be some people. There's always a portion of the audience. But the people who have followed us since 2006, building furniture, I don't think that they want to see me switch to CNC production.
Sure. I understand. We got a super chat here from Charles Parker, and I'm pulling it up.
Sounds like a jazz musician.
Charlie Parker.
Charlie Parker. Isn't that a jazz musician?
Maybe. I don't know. Can a piece of furniture on which the residue of citrus
strip
removed by a 3M strip pad and after wash by a clean strip accept water stain? I don't know. Did I say that right?
I'm not sure I get the question. Can a piece of furniture on which the residue of citrus strip removed by using a 3M stripper pad and after wash by clean strip accept, he's asking, can it accept
water stain.
A water-based stain?
Yeah.
Maybe. I think you might have to do a little bit of sanding because you may have a little bit of penetration and staining. I don't know that it's going to prevent the stain from absorbing, but it may create a stain that doesn't accept the stain the same way. So it might be visible after you apply that water-based stain because that's chemicals that could just absorb into the surface. So I'd be hesitant, I mean, you might want to try it, but I'd be hesitant to just go on top of that and expect it to look exactly like everything else without some sanding or scraping.
I got a super chat
I see
here.
something from Joseph?
Yeah, you do. But I get there's a couple people in front of him.
There's a line. Well then.
Rich Modak says, do Raisinets count as candy or Raisinets? Raisinets.
Candy.
Are they
chocolate?
Is it chocolate?
Chocolate.
Yeah, it's definitely
If there's
candy.
chocolate, it's candy.
Yeah.
It's just crappy candy.
Brian Walford says, I'm having trouble with my domino tennons being ultra tight, almost impossible to disassemble after dry fit. Is this normal? Suggestions?
It can be particularly problematic if you are in a humid environment, right? So these things are all standardized, they're all cut, and then you take it to a different place, and those dominoes are made from solid wood, so if the humidity is up, they swell, but the size of the domino mortise you make doesn't change. It's always the same. So they can fit tighter. I know when I went to Jory's shop, the amount of work he has to do to loosen up a domino is way more. Like in my shop, I just give it, take that little nub off the ends with a little bit of sandpaper, and mine will slide in and out pretty easily. That's Denver. But in Central California, near the coast, it's a little bit more humid, and you've got a lot more sanding to do. So yes, it's totally normal. People do a lot of things with this, a couple different ways you can approach it. One, you could take a box cutter or just a sanding block and sand the rib off of the ends, right at the ends from the manufacturing process. There's a little bit of material there. You could sand that away and you should get a much better fit. Now, if you are very humid, you actually may have swelling in the thickness of the domino, and you may have to sand the faces. So if you're in a situation like that where it is a long process to loosen up the domino, what you may want to do is sacrifice, a dozen of each size and keep them in a little Rubbermaid tin or, in an Altoid box, Nicole.
There you go.
Might be a little small. But keep them on the side as your dry fit tenons. So anytime you do a project, go to your dry fit tenons. They're always going to fit loose, but they will help you analyze your project, and then save your good tenons for your actual final installation. And people seem to have success with that method. Here in Denver, it's really not a problem. A lot of times I might put a domino in and need vice grips to pull it out, but that for me gets solved by removing those side nibs. It's not so much a thickness issue here because it's just so darn dry.
Did you say no disassemble? Somebody got your Johnny Five reference.
Did I do a Johnny Five reference?
Or maybe I did.
You did?
I did. I do? You did.
I did. When did I do that? I don't remember doing that.
I love that you do movie references and you don't even know.
It's just so ingrained into me that
You need to wear that shirt. I speak in fluent movie quotes.
I'm going to have to go back and watch this. I seriously do not remember saying no disassemble.
Oh.
That's kind of crazy.
That's kind of funny. All right. Let's see. Nicholas Moore wants to know.
Does that movie hold up?
I watched it. I like
so?
Did we watch it together? Yeah. I like it.
I watched it last month, truthfully.
I think it holds
It's Jason's favorite movie. All right.
I mean, the tech in it, of course, is
Yeah.
a little silly. Nicholas, like a talking robot with AI, is not silly. Nicholas Moore wants to know, if you had to do the Roubo again, would you still use maple or would you pick a harder material?
Why would you want a harder material? This is soft maple.
Yeah, this is soft maple,
so it is the softer of the two maples, the gentler maple. This is hard enough, man.
Yeah.
I think you go harder than this, you're just making your life difficult. The only reason I'd go harder is if I had a resource where I could get something that happened to be harder at a cheaper price in larger
How much more
quantities.
is hard maple versus soft maple?
I don't know the numbers.
And if you had hard maple, would you have avoided this?
There might have been less denting. Yeah, I've got where I did my copper punch panel. I just did it on a workbench, so the pattern from the copper punching is
Right here.
embedded in the workbench. So yes, that's exactly what like a Jenka hardness test is like, driving a ball into the surface to see how much it dents.
What's it called, a Jenka?
The Jenka hardness test, Janka. So yeah, I don't know the exact numbers. Hard maple, rock maple is a little bit harder than soft maple, but soft maple is more than hard enough for a workbench. Now, if you start to get into things like, some people will use Doug fir. Wilbur Pan is very proud of his Douglas fir workbench. That's going to be a little bit softer, and that still works fine for people. So I don't know. I would not necessarily intentionally seek out harder material than maple for a workbench. You okay there?
Sorry, it's making me laugh because I got Joseph doing a super chat telling you So Joseph said, for matches and gasoline to burn your CNC catalogs. And then we got
The guy with the crazy name.
Oja. I just call him
Oja.
OJ. For the shaper origin budget, just the taste for the guild. He upped him by $1.
You guys are crazy, first of all. Second of all, I got an ad in Facebook today, I showed you this morning, for Shaper Origin, that said they have they called it a beta store at the Cherry Creek Mall or something like that, which is pretty close. They actually have a store there?
To test it out?
To like go and get a little sample.
I think I'm going to do that.
That feels like something I should do. Yeah. But it's weird. It's like, it was weird that they have a store for the Shaper Origin. I mean, I could see maybe a kiosk, but an actual, I don't know. I want to look into it because it seems weird. It's just one tool.
Yeah.
But they have they have a store space to show off that tool?
Sure. Why not?
I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
It's like a little maker space.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see about it.
I know where you're going today.
I'm going back into the office to edit video.
I know. How do you say
Wishful thinking.
How do you say his name?
Chris?
Chris?
It's just an unusual spelling, but it looks like Chris.
Wanted to use sliding dovetails to connect a tabletop to a base. How should I account for wood movement? I don't want the joint to be too loose.
Well, you account by only restricting it where you absolutely need to. So you either restrict it at the center with, maybe just glue in the middle. It's kind of hard to do on a sliding dovetail, right? As you push it in, it wants to spread whatever glue you have in there. So chances are, in a case like that, you might only be able to restrict it on the side that you want to retain perfection. So what is it, a table?
Yes, tabletop.
So the problem is with, if you see the sliding dovetail at the ends, if this were a cabinet, let's say, you might glue the front, but let the back float. And this way, if there's movement back there and there's a discrepancy with the two surfaces meeting one another, it won't matter because you don't see it. On a table though, unless you're putting it up against the wall and you have one good show face, it's a little bit tricky because if you restrict it at both ends, you've got a movement problem. You restrict it on one end, you'll have one side that always looks nice and tight, and then the movement goes and directs toward the back. So it's a bit of a challenge for a tabletop. Ideally, if you had some way to have the sliding dovetail portion not go all the way to the edge of the table, then you might have something there because that movement can still happen and you could secure it in the center. But I would probably need to see a little bit more on the design to get any deeper into that, but it's a challenge.
Joseph, well played, OJ.
I bid him up by $1. I kind of like this game actually. Now that we're getting into it.
All right, we got another question. What time is it? 8:30. Question here from Anthony. Should I be careful about sanding differences prior to finishing? I have it at 180 right now. Does that make sense? Careful about sanding differences.
I feel like there's more to that question than what you just gave me.
Maybe I pulled it out. I saw the question mark. When I'm scanning, I usually see questions and I just kind of grab and then put it to the side.
So I'm going to assume he's asking like...
I don't know. He might have been talking to somebody else.
He could have been talking to someone else.
Okay. Brandon.
I will say though, sanding to 180, that's fine. I do that all the time. A lot of people like to go to 220, but minimally you want to go to the point where you can't see the scratches anymore. Typically for most people, that's about 180. A lot of people like to go finer, but there's also this battle now with hard wax oils that recommend you only sand to 120, which is cuckoo. So you got this battle now, like how much do you actually sand and how much is necessary? I would never stop at 120. I would go to 150 or 180, but 150 is the absolute lowest I would let a project go out of the shop in, and usually I don't even do that. It would be 180.
Brandon also wants to know, is there any one design or project that is on... Oh, didn't we already do that? You already did that one.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I popped
Brandon.
that one in from the...
Doing my job.
Okay. So he's saying with reference to hard wax oils. So I did actually talk about that. So yeah, it's weird because I think a lot of these hard wax oil companies, their history is in flooring. And in flooring, you can get away with things like sanding to 120. But those rougher grits allow the hard wax oil to bind to the fibers a little bit more effectively, making for a more durable finish. On a piece of fine furniture...
That's the second part of it.
Yeah, on a piece of fine furniture, Sanding to 120 is just, to me, it's ludicrous. I would never do it. You could still see those scratches. So I would take it to 180. Like I said before, 150 the absolute lowest, 180. And sometimes I go to 220. If it's not a high pressure project, go to 220 and ignore the instructions and just put the hard wax oil on there and it's fine. There are people who sand way higher than that, especially with things like Rubio, and do furniture that way and are perfectly happy with the results. It's just not what the manufacturer recommends.
Laura S. wants to know, how do I prevent rust on my table saw? Any advice?
No water.
No water.
Yeah.
BioShield. T9.
Bosch.
BioShield. Oh, God.
That's our deodorant company we're going to start. That is not
Sorry, BioShield. I'm the worst.
BioShield. I need some BioShield.
Yeah.
T9 BioShield is good. It depends on the environment you're in. Like here in Denver, it's very dry. All we really have to do is use like Glide Coat. It's an aerosol wax material, or just any kind of furniture wax. Just a coat of wax is all I need because it's dry. If it's more humid, you're in the south or something like that, you may have to go further. And T9 BioShield is a good rust preventative. A lot of times you lay that down. It's a little bit sticky, so you're going to wax on top of that. But that's one of the things that people do. I've lived in Arizona and then Denver. These are two places where rust generally is not an issue in a shop, so I'm not the best person to ask on products outside of the T9 BioShield. But there are other products out there.
So if you head on over to amazon.com/shop/thewoodwhisperer, we have a section called Friday Live, and I just put BioShield in there. What was the other one? Renaissance wax.
Well, just wax, any kind of wax. I have Renaissance wax, but you can use any furniture wax, Johnson's paste wax. And while you're there, look up the new, Nicole's maiden name is Pitts, and I think we should exploit that for our new BioShield deodorant. We call it Pitts BioShield deodorant. What do you think?
Funny is, I don't stink. She do.
That's right. Jay's Pitts don't stink as bad as mine.
Yeah.
Even though his last name is Pitts.
There you go.
What's up with that?
Got a question here from
Can't help it.
Joseph Flint.
I got man juice, Nicole. Seeping out of me.
What are the things you would like to do in your shop that you haven't had time to do yet? Oh my God.
What, like upgrades to the shop?
I guess. I don't know. What's going on in your shop?
Here's one thing we need to do. Even out the damn floor. One thing I would love to do, if money were no object and we were going to stay, we know we're staying here forever,
I'm not moving.
I would get like a temporary storage unit in the driveway, put all my tools in it. I would have all the concrete busted up and re-pour the slabs in the garage.
Okay.
Just so 5 years later they could do what they're doing now.
Yeah, I was going to say, we live in Colorado.
So it's a pretty bad slope, but I have mismatched lifting. So where the expansion joints between the poured slabs are, I've got a couple that are lifting up, and then I have my floor pads on top of those. So it's totally a trip hazard. I've got one over here and one over there. And one of the things we are considering doing, I'm hesitant to say it because I know I'm going to get a lot of advice telling me not to do this. We're probably going to grind them down a little bit to even them out to lessen the trip hazard. So while we're kind of taking some time off, quote unquote, in December, we're probably going to rent some equipment and do that work.
Video games.
Well, that's what Jay's going to do while I'm playing video games.
Outer World.
I thought I was going to play video games.
That is your video game.
We're all
it's a
gonna play
great new game called Let's Level the Floor. So yeah, that's one thing I like to do. But what else? I don't know. I mean, geez, the mini split was installed. That was great.
Oh yeah.
We just installed a new lumber rack. I'm not sure. There's really not a whole lot. One thing that would be nice is piped compressed air.
Don't get him started.
I didn't ask the question.
Jay's just going, this is just more work for me. Thanks a lot, dude.
Jay's gonna find Joseph and be like, dude.
I can't, but honestly, I can't think of anything right now. I'm pretty stoked with the shop at this point.
I think it's amazing. Yeah. It's. Somebody asked who made the band hammer. We've talked about
Scott
this.
Hampshire.
Scott Hampshire.
A good dude.
He's one of our mods in the woodworking community on Facebook.
Yep. He made a great hammer. Gave that to me when I went to Seattle, and I was like, dude, seriously? Like I thought he was just bringing it to show me.
Yeah,
and he's like, no, it's for you. I'm like, you got to be crazy.
Yeah.
And then Vic gave me that McCaster Ebony.
Oh, did he?
We have good friends.
We do. We have.
I like friends that give me things.
But they don't need to give you things
I'm
to be
materialistic.
your friend. No, stop.
Yes, they do, Nicole.
Let's see what we got here.
I'm just going to give a hard time.
Let's see. So the show titles are coming in
Yeah,
now.
BioShield, Man Juice, or Raisinets. I like that one. That's a good one, Jack.
Zucker Woodshop asked, in an old season 1 video. I love that he says season because that tells me he's watching
on Amazon.
You said you had a scientific background. What were you before a woodworker and a content master?
Scientist.
Yeah.
I went to
worked in a
school.
lab, right?
Yeah, I went to school for biology, chemistry minor, and I didn't go to grad school because I was dumb and made a poor choice. So then I worked at PetSmart for a while. So my background,
I learned all about fish tanks.
Fish. You guys want to talk about fish? I know too much about fish, and I actually collected reptiles for a while.
He had a number of reptiles when I...
Yeah, well, it was so great. She was my sugar mama. So when we first started dating, there was this place in California, a really great reptile shop in Oceanside. And they had these awesome containers, those plastic ones with the sliding glass. I was like, these are amazing. And she's like, let's go get them. I'm like, I love you. So, and she hated these snakes too, right? But
I didn't hate them. I just...
Well, you didn't love them, especially the one
I
that
was
would...
very indifferent.
Especially the one that would bite me all the time.
Actually, I like that one.
He was a jerk. Man, that thing, ooh. A jungle carpet python. I remember that. He bit me so many times.
Yeah, anyway.
What were we talking about?
What you were before you were doing
How did I get off on that tangent?
I don't know.
So I got out of college and worked for a gas chromatography company. They basically made gas products, and I just tested them. And then from that point, I got a job in California working for a reagent company that made reagents that folks would use in just various bio experiments. A lot of it was DNA related, and I wanted to get into genetics. But again, that bachelor's degree didn't get me too far, so I was working in QC all the time. I did not enjoy it. And then I worked for an antibody company in Chemicon in Temecula, and that was a desk job, and that was a nightmare. And that is where I learned how to do woodworking.
And that is exactly.
That's where I read all my woodworking magazines. And
spent all your time on forums.
Yeah, in forums when I wasn't answering the phone. It was a tech service job. No bueno for me.
Yeah. But,
so I loved science. It was definitely a passion of mine. I fell out of love with it because I got into the commercial business side and management side of it and got way far away from research. And it just didn't hold my interest. And going back to grad school was not really in the cards at that time.
Well, you started to. You were going back for
business, though.
For business.
Not for science.
And
I was also, I had a lab ready to go. Like if I had just taken the right GRE subject test, my whole path, we may have never met because I would have gone to Rutgers and I had a lab that was ready, like they did some
that
sort
makes
of
me sad to
some
think about
plant bio. I mean, that was a fork in the path
Yeah.
that could have led to us never meeting.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And my buddy Bob that I went to school with, he went in that path. And I think he's Dr. Bob now.
I could also say if I didn't, I lived in DC for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I moved there from Missouri, really small town in Missouri. And it was a very overwhelming town for me. So I was ready to leave. And I just wanted to live on the beach.
Yep.
And he had an apartment not far from the beach. And that's how we met.
She moved in with 2 strange dudes.
Yeah. Your brother.
You got a big set. Girl, you got a big set. It was a good room by the ocean.
It was beautiful.
Plus, I was there, and she couldn't resist.
Maybe one day.
She's like, "Oh, he's cute. I like him."
I didn't even think that. I was like,
I'm gonna send him
I
a
gotta
bunch
get
of
to
boxes.
California.
Jay's got to get out of here.
I was like, I got to get out of DC to the beach. Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway.
Oh, look at this guy. Anthony says, apparently we've got a lot of common. He was a bio major, chem minor, TA from molecular bio. That was what I was into.
Was it?
Molecular bio. That's genetics. And spent time after undergrad doing research on elasmobranch fishes, sharks. I was mostly into plants. Everything, because my main professor that was my advisor as well was into corn research, and that's kind of just I was doing what he did.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, good stuff.
That's kind
good
of
times.
Cool,
Anything else?
Yeah, I've got one more question, and then we can wrap this up. Darb's Cave, watching old videos and seeing how no tattoos are on arms, and watching the evolution throughout the time.
That's incorrect, by the way.
Yeah, they're hidden as your tattoos developed. Do you have a story behind the various tattoos? Love the channel.
It's not that interesting of a story, but I guess. I really wanted a tattoo. A lot of the guys in my family have always had tattoos. My dad's got a bunch of tattoos. My brothers do. So when I turned 18, I got a tattoo, and it was on my right arm, and it was just because it was in the 90s, and what do you get when you're getting tattoos in the 90s? Tribal tattoos. That's what everybody got, right? Jay's got one. So that was my first tattoo. Then I got a second tattoo on this arm. I always kept elbow up because I, at the time, was in college and I was going into the sciences.
You didn't know where you were gonna go.
And I knew that I wanted to be able to wear short sleeves in public or in a business setting and not have to deal with offending people. And even in the 90s, it was still a little bit more taboo than it is now.
It still is. I still delete comments on our channel. Ooh, tattoos.
Well, because those people are idiots, Nicole. But we should go get some ink today. But today, in today's day and age, you will see people in management positions with tattoos. It's just, it's a different cultural shift. So yeah, I had a 2 on the arm, and that was something that you couldn't see. So in addition to the 2 on the arm, I soon then had 3 on my back. And unless I did a shirtless show, which was not going to happen, I mean, I could do it now if you guys are into it. It's Friday.
No,
let's do it.
No.
So at that time, I had 5 tattoos. You just never saw them unless I wore a really short shirt. And then a bunch of time went by, didn't really have a whole lot of interest.
I think this woodworking thing's gonna stick.
Yeah, and then eventually I think I realized this is my career, and all those tattoos that I thought I wanted to get over the years, not only was I in a position career-wise to do it, I had a few extra bucks in my pocket to do it. So that's when I started getting new tattoos. The first new one was this guy, right? And I wanted to get the bamboo to represent my family, and that we're annoying and weed-like, right? Which is what bamboo is. We're resilient and like weeds. So I got 3 pieces of bamboo to represent me, Nicole, and Mateo. And I think it was the day after I got that tattoo, Nicole goes, I think I'm pregnant. And there's Ava. So eventually I got a 4th bamboo shoot in there. And then from that point, I started on the sleeve.
This is when I was pregnant, so...
This is my coping mechanism for my wife's difficult pregnancy.
I'm not a good pregnancy person.
Neither am I.
I get hypermesis. And so with Mateo, I lost 25 pounds.
Yeah.
Barely ate. Water and watermelon was... all I could stomach.
Yep.
So it happened again with Ava. And this was Marc going.
This was my therapy at the time, and it was great. And I've shown this before. It's just like a monk woodworker guy. He's got a chisel and a board. He's working on something. He's got his little bandsaw or his little table saw mill back here. He's building this building, and it goes into a nice little tree and some birds up there. And it's all over. It's a big tattoo. And then, where were we? Hawaii? I got another tattoo in Hawaii up here. What do they call that? The banyan tree?
Yeah, I think so.
I was thinking Kenny Banyan from Banya, I think is his name, in
Banya.
Seinfeld. And that was just sitting on top of this other one. So that's it. That's all there is to it.
Yep.
And I don't know. I still got room. I got to be careful, though, because when I had my wrist problem, I had to wear my watch on my right arm, and I couldn't figure out why it kept
wasn't
disconnecting. It wasn't getting my heart
'cause of
rate.
the black.
And anytime I exercised, it wasn't getting the information. It's because of the black tattoo. Apple Watches do not like that. So I'm always going to have a bare spot right here in the shape of an Apple Watch so that I can continue to use the watch. But I'm good on tattoos for now. But I think at some point I'm probably going to give in, and Jay and I are going to go get some tattoos.
And some people were asking in the chat room about like your story. He actually wrote most of it up on our About page. So if you head on over to the woodwhisperer.com/about.
Yeah, there's a couple write-ups. There's some interviews that I've done.
Yeah.
I'm an open book.
Yeah.
I'm pretty boring.
All right.
That's why I get tattoos.
So
make myself interesting.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to like put all the woodworking questions in the front and any personal stuff at the end.
Okay.
So
that people they get bored by the end.
Yeah, they're only here for the woodworking. They don't have to stay for the personal stuff.
Yeah, that's good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, tattoos, it's a thing. I get it. People don't like them. That's fine. But if you tell me you don't like them, I'm going to call you a jerk. Because I don't care if you don't like them.
It's like, what do you want me to do about it? They're permanent.
Yeah, it's the things that I have been criticized and trolled for. There was a guy who was so upset that I always had stubble.
Oh, really?
That I wasn't clean shaven. And it's just, it's an older school dude who thinks like you're going to go on camera and present yourself. You should be clean shaven. You should, be presentable. And I'm like, dude, sorry, I get where you're coming
Yeah.
from, but different generation, nobody cares that I've got stubble.
Well, and not to mention, if you're clean shaven, it irritates your skin.
Yeah, I can't shave clean.
Yeah.
I've got the hair of an Italian and the skin of a baby goat. That doesn't make any
I
sense.
don't know what that means.
I have very
Very sensitive.
very sensitive skin, but I've got hair that is just freaking relentless.
Yeah.
So if I shave it, I will, after probably the second shave, I will start to break out, and I will look like I have acne and all kinds of little problems. So
Bumps.
let's not do that. That's why I don't have a corporate job.
Yeah.
I don't need to shave anymore. Yeah. Anything else?
All
We're
right.
good. This has got way personal.
Let me just verify that I didn't miss any super chats.
Tribal tattoos rock. Well, they better because I'm stuck with them. All three on my back are tribal style tattoos, and they just ain't nothing I can do about it.
Well, thank you everybody for hanging out
It's on
with
my
us.
back. I don't see it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Brandon says he got his first YouTuber hater yesterday who doesn't like his beard. Skin of a baby goat.
Oh, the show titles. Nightbot is logging the show titles.
Well, see, Taylor's got a good point. He says the salt and pepper stubble makes you look experienced. I actually said that when I first started out, back in 2006. One of the biggest criticisms I would deal with was from older woodworkers who would give me crap just because I looked young, right?
Yeah.
And I used to say this is the one industry where or one of the few industries that as I get older, it's like my value goes up. The older I look,
Right.
the more experienced I seem. So meanwhile, I'm still the same idiot I was back then. Just grayer hair.
And I'm trying to find his email. Remember the email that I read to you? It was so nice. One of the
Oh, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
the content of that email. We got to pick a winner, though. Someone
pick
is
a winner.
prodding me. I'm going to pick the guy whose question I was not able to answer. I always feel bad when I can't do that. Where is he? He is Jason Stromberg, who asked about the laser cutting Baltic birch.
It was Bill Ockert
Oh.
who said that he had just retired and he wasn't looking for gray hair, he was looking for young, and you didn't have any gray hair yet. So
Oh, I did. The camera just couldn't pick it up because it wasn't full HD. But go on.
But it was just a really nice email that he said that you were not Norm. And
I am not normal. Oh, Norm Abram.
Norm.
Okay.
so
I am Abby Normal.
yeah, Bill, I don't know if you watch Friday Live, but thank you for
Yeah, well, that was a
donating
really.
to WoodWorkers Fighting Cancer and giving us your story
is
on
sweet.
how you found
Because
us.
the end of the story is he says, because the way you look now, I don't want to watch you anymore. So I appreciate that. I'm going to go dye my hair. I'll be right back.
All right.
And we're good?
That's a
Okay.
show.
Well, thank you for watching, everyone. If you stuck with us this whole time.
Wow, it's a long
That's
show.
amazing. So thank you.
We
And
have 617 people watching, which is, I think, a record.
I don't think we've ever. We've gotten into the 4s. I think we've flirted with the 5s.
Yeah, I don't
But
think
600.
we've ever gotten to 600.
That's cray cray. That's cray cray.
So I will, if you've submitted a show title, thank you so much. I will be, I don't know, a few of these are funny.
There's some good ones. We'll pick a good one.
We'll pick a good one.
Okay. Hey, thanks very much, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Toodles, my noodles. I'm just going to let it run.
You want to tell Jason to get a hold of you? The winner?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jason Stromberg. Get a hold of Nicole.
Well, I'll message him.
We're still live. I haven't hit the
Okay.
button. Someone says just for men.
Just for men.
The Apple Watch reverse tattoo. I like that one. Okay, we're going to go now. Bye.